Hello, you crab meat stuffed squirm holes. Jim Sterling here, and this is Dark Souls 3. Yes, again. Be warned, as always, that this is going to have some spoiler content in it. Quite a fair bit of it. A boss is coming up now. Turn it off now. If you don't want any spoilers, turn it off now. Go away now. Now, go away, go away, go away. If you're still with us, hello and welcome. You're very welcome. We're about to fight one of the bosses. One of the earlier bosses in the game, this one. This is the curse-rotted Greatwood. It's a giant tree that's pregnant with curses. Because it's Dark Souls, and why wouldn't you have a giant tree that's pregnant with curses? Here we are just poking at the organic pustules that the tree has, because, again, it's Dark Souls. Why wouldn't you have organic pustules dangling in the crotch of your tree there? That was a terrible bit of damage I just took there. That was awful. Not a great start, not a great performance. The Curse-Rotted Greatwood is not a particularly difficult boss, but if you're careless, like I was being here, then it's going to be bad. I've fought this boss many times now. I've been doing a lot of co-op, I've got some co-op footage coming up towards the end of the video, and I've been facing pretty much all the bosses multiple times, so I'm very used to what they can do now, but a lot of this stuff was early encounters. This would have been the second time I fought this boss, just because this is PS4 footage. Did I say that? I should have said that. This is PS4 footage. I'm showing the PS4 version of the game as opposed to the PC version that we've seen before. So this is my second time fighting it, just because I played it on PC as well, and this was me playing it on PS4. But the starting class I wanted, at the time of doing the PC one, I could only play as a knight because of that weird glitch. Hang on, I have a bit of water. Oh, I just realised I did a lot of talking there, until my stupid tongue went dry. But anyway, this is the second stage of the Greatwood fight, where it tumbles down into the pit of hollows here and has a big old hand jutting out of it, because, again, why not? It's Dark Souls, isn't it? What was I saying? I was saying something, but I'll just abandon that train of thought to focus on what's going on here. As with the other Dark Souls stuff we've done, and certainly as with anything I do on consoles, predominantly PS4, this is pre-recorded footage with me commentating over it. I know that the last time I did that with Dark Souls, I upset at least one commenter who found it useless to them, because they didn't know whether they should buy the game or not. My advice there would be, do you want to buy it? Then buy it. That's always my default advice when someone asks me if they should buy something. I get that a lot with, what console should I get? And my answer is, well, what console do you want? That's normally your first clue as to what one you should get. But that's just me. It's a pretty laissez-faire attitude. But yes, with this build, and it should become apparent as the footage goes on, I leaned quite heavily into faith for this one, for my starting herald, to the point where I may have been better serviced just picking a cleric. But of course, Dark Souls being Dark Souls, it doesn't matter in the long run what you pick. That just gets you to your eventual destination, potentially faster or slower. And I'm very happy with the destination I've got now, especially because there is an area, and again, we're talking spoiler territory, so be warned, there is a point in the game where you can respec. It's not a particularly intuitive thing to do, it's not a particularly obvious thing to find, but it is there, and it is very useful. And I did use it, I think I used it twice, once because I felt like I really needed to reallocate some stats to get exactly where I wanted to be, and the second time I did it I was just being pedantic and was like, no, I really want those few little stats somewhere else, please, thank you. So yeah, that's me poking the big hand. Obviously the pustules, getting them to burst takes off bigger chunks of health, but some of them are pretty hard to reach. I use a scythe now, which I've never used in Souls games before. I was really interested in using a spear because I've not used a spear since Demon Souls, and I felt a bit nostalgic, and that did me all right until I started getting into some sort of horde-based fights. There's a particular boss fight that is just a horde of enemies, and it's going for a roll, and yeah, I got out of that. And yeah, the spear just was not doing me, so I needed something to try just for that boss. I said I'll be better served with something that's got a bit of crowd clearing. and then just fell in love with the scythe, which I ended up putting lightning on. That's why going for the hand is dangerous, because that's a bastard of a move. Silly. I can see it coming now again, because like I said, I've fought this boss so many times in co-op, like, its moves are pretty easily telegraphed now. But at the time, I kind of look at it reaching out for me, grasping little bastard. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, I put lightning on my scythe, and pretty much just went with the strength and dex needed to wield it, which is like really like 14-14 I think, and then just went heavy into the faith. And it's... I don't think I've been this happy with a Dark Souls character, if I'm honest. Really pleased with it. Really pleased with the results, with what I got. So that's cool. This will be the last time you see my character's face. I always make them look like some weird Tim Burton animated character. I usually wax some makeup on them, make them pale and bluish. It pleases me to do this, okay? But then we switched out. This was the hood I ended up using for most of the game. I've only recently switched it out for the Executioner mask. But I always go for a mask, because anyone who's followed my work, certainly anyone who's seen a lot of last year's Gymquisitions, will know that I'm a bugger for a mask. I love me a cool-looking mask. And I found the Thrall hood, which is what I'm wearing now, particularly attractive. There's just something kind of sinister / adorable about it. It's kind of got this kind of creepy look to it, but it's also just so darling and cute, especially when you see the little black dot eye holes on the other side. But I eventually went with the Executioner mask, just because A, it's got a nice whack of protection on it, and B, it also looks quite cool. But I might switch back to the Thrall hood now and then. It's proven quite popular. I've seen a lot of online players using the Thrall hood. Look at it, it's so darling. Yeah, I actually put quite a bit into Vitality as I've been leveling up, just because there's so much cool armor in this one. And this one is a lot more Fashion Souls-ish in that you don't upgrade armor or anything. It's closer to Bloodborne in that regard, in that everything's more stat-based and it depends on what resistances you want. So you don't really try and find the best armor per se. You've got a bit more freedom to just pick whatever you think looks cool. While of course still being cognizant of defenses and stuff if you care about having some defense. So I put a lot in Vitality just because I love some of the heavier armor just looks cool, but I like to roll, so that's what I did. Although again, you'll see in most of this footage I've been using the Herald armor just because I, at the time, did favour rolling over everything else. Now the Crystal Sage, this was actually the first boss I had some difficulty with. I actually did find this boss a pain in the arse. Not least for the fact that my magic resistance is never good. I never prioritise it, and I just don't like robes and fancy white gloves on my Dark Souls character. So yeah, I'm never prepared for a magic user, and this one is, as you can see, as it duplicates and clones itself, and only one of them's real, and it's a particular pain in the jackson. And this is a winning attempt, because... would I record my failed attempt? No. I say that, but there is a death in this video. I did beat this. It took me a good few tries in both the PC and the PS4 version. Yeah, you stay down. I like the little point down. Here's another boss. Again, there's a lot of bosses in this one. Using the Flash Sweat to protect myself against fire there. I eventually stopped doing that. I first got the Flash Sweat just to deal with the Abyss Watchers, and just carried around a little bit of pyromancy now and then, but I've pretty much abandoned that in favour of pure faith miracle stuff. So this is Pontiff Sulyvahn. I don't know why I said it like that, but another boss that I personally had a lot of trouble with. I know someone who said they found him really easy and beat him in one go. I don't know how they did that. But again, we've talked about this on the Podquisition podcast that I do. One of the beauties of Dark Souls is there are some bosses that to some are really easy and to those same people are really hard. But that's not always due to skill, but how you play, how you've built your character, what you're comfortable doing. I've said before, I'm not a parrier, no parry man me. So bosses that are susceptible to parrying, people that can parry are going to have a great time with it. Whereas some people, some bosses don't deal as well with certain weapons or certain battle strategies, and those players will have an easier time. So, it's swings and roundabouts, isn't it? Apples and oranges, 6 of one, half dozen of another. I guess some of that makes sense. As you can see, I am co-oping here. Got me a Warrior of Sunlight, and someone else. Just because I could not be fucked with this dude. Can't be fucked with the Pontiff. No thank you. Yeah. I even hesitate to actually Sunbro against him. I don't like even co-oping against him, although I will do. I have done. But minimal exposure to the Pontiff that makes for a happy gym. But this one, we are about to smash him with a lot of help from my 2 co-op partners here. And I thought I'd show off some of the online stuff as well, which I've not done in pretty much any other Souls or Bloodborne video, any Souls game video I've ever done here. Never really focused on it, but then I never really focused on online stuff in general. I've always played these games from Demon Souls up until Dark Souls, well, up until Bloodborne, I guess that was the last one, predominantly solo. I did a little bit of online with Bloodborne, and I dabbled like once online in the first Dark Souls. But this one I've really been I've been getting into PvP more as well, which I've never done. Never cared for it before. Never cared for PvP. But as you can see here, I've included some PvP footage. This isn't a PvP character here. The guy with the 2 lances, that's just an NPC enemy made to look like a player character. But I did get invaded by an Aldrich Faithful, which is one of those covenants, the Aldrich Faithful. They're one of those covenants that are location-based. So if you've got an ember and you're kindled or whatever, while you're in this area headed towards Aldrich, you will get invaded by an Aldrich Faithful. As you can see from the symbols on the floor as well, this is a big area for co-op and PvP and all that stuff. This is a big battleground. I think it's funny how the players just find this stuff. There eventually becomes this general consensus on where the summon signs are going and where you're PvPing the most and who you're, basically where you stake your claim. And here we go. So this is the Aldrich Faithful character. And this was one of my first PvP experience. One of my first PvP experiences in any Souls game ever. I had a few dabblings in Bloodborne, and I played Demon Souls around the time it was still online and everything. So there was that boss that was actually a PvP character, like it was a PvP encounter as a boss fight, and that was fun. But this was really where I started getting into it, and I've been doing it a lot more, fighting mound makers and the like. Doesn't go too well for me here. I really should have picked up a summon, because nothing amuses me more than getting invaded and then them rolling up on someone with a summon or 2 on their side. But another reason this doesn't go too well for me is because, of course, I'm not just fighting him, I'm fighting the other fella as well. So it doesn't go great for me. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking with it. It was a 2-on-1 situation. I came close on this fella, as you can see. Like, 1 or 2 more smacks and I'd have done it, but I mean, spoiler warning, that's not how this goes down. Could have had him, and then just, once you see the Estus, you're disheartened. So that character disappears for a while, as I concentrate on this one. And they're back. Yeah, there's a funny one today, actually. We were invaded by one of Rosaria's fingers. That's another covenant. While I was actually on my way. I'm in the New Game Plus phase and everything. So I'm rushing through it. So I got someone co-opt for Aldrich, St. Aldrich, and was invaded by Rosaria's finger, who was like just constantly trying to lead us into enemies and baiting us and everything. And this is where we come to the end of the road. And yeah, like, they were ages. Yeah, whatever, mate. for ages trying to bait me into a fight with them. And, God, we must have went for 20 minutes toe for toe while they were, like, edging towards me and I was edging towards them. And they killed my co-op partner at the time and stuff. And eventually, like, I just got bored and walked into the Aldrich fight. And it felt really satisfying. It can be really enjoyable to see someone who's, like, laying out this perfect strategy, refusing to engage you, trying to, like, bait you into areas with enemies so they have an easier time. And you make them think you're up for the fight, and eventually you just say, fuck it, and you just turn around and walk into the bus. The frustration. But anyway, we make short work of that one. So this is me as a Sunbro, as they call them, just doing some Warriors of Sunlight repping, which is my covenant of choice. If you ever see someone wielding a scythe, and at the moment wearing an executioner hat, calling themselves Sterling, I will have the, what's his name, Lorien's armour? The Elder Prince. I'm wearing mostly his armour with Smorg's gloves and the Executioner hat, and they're called Sterling, and they're a Warrior of Sunlight, and that'll be me. I typically like to hang around in this area. I like to hang around to fight the Demon King, the old Demon King boss, which we'll be facing in a moment. And sometimes you'll see me in the catacombs a lot. They're my preferred areas. Let's see, what are the common areas? Over at the Tower of Lothric Castle, to fight the Dancer of Boreal Valley, if I remember her name correctly. But anyway, if you see me around, if you see Sterling with the scythe and the gold phantom, and usually some sort of mask, let me know. Let me know if you've ever seen me and if I've ever helped you out. Be interested to know. I enjoy it. I like being helpful. You know, as interested as I'm getting in PvP, I don't know if I could join a PvP-centered covenant. Don't know if I could be a mound maker or a finger or anything like that. I just enjoy helping people. And I think that's one of the great joys of this game is, you know, a lot of people will take what help they can get and they're very grateful for it. And it's just fun to fight a boss with someone and then have everyone doing their little gestures at the end, celebrating together. It's because it is a game about feeling oppressed a lot of the time. You know, the bosses are big and intimidating, and the environments are so menacing and oppressive. There is a joy to be had in the camaraderie, in people pulling their weight together and facing a common enemy. More so than in other games. I feel just because of the unique way in which Dark Souls is set up, co-op is particularly rewarding. There's just something special about it, I feel. Sorry, I'm, again, so thirsty today. I also went quiet for a few seconds as well, while I was just looking at me chopping the demon's ass. So yeah, that's the old Demon King done. And that's the end of this video, actually. I could have waited a minute to have my lovely glass of water. So yeah, there we are, the usual post-game. That's a very popular gesture, that is the sprawling out dead. But anyway, that was Dark Souls 3. Probably the final bit of footage I'll do for this series now, for this game. Bye! I might do more videos if I get bored. I suppose it depends how popular this one is. I'm cynical like that.